Hello, you. My name is Nox, and I welcome you to my therapy. This is a response to a video by Finn McKenty in collaboration with Mike Seatown. I have put the link in the description below, and I advise for context reasons that you watch that video before mine. I enjoyed some of Finn's takes in the past and got good entertainment as well as new perspectives on the scene out of them. In this video, however, you will see. For some reason, I'm expected to function as an adult, and I'm working on being a little less like myself when it comes to tackling an argument, so I made this response. And no, it's not because my missus told me to let it go or bother someone else with it. Now, what say you? Let's work our way through this very interesting video by first looking at the viewpoints of Finn McKenty and then the ones of his co-host. As a little prefix, Finn brings up that whenever he pointed racist stuff out to people, they get defensive and deflect or dismiss the issue. A very human response to seeing something dragged through the mud that is beloved, but I don't want to be accused of such, so I will keep this in mind. However, I don't know how big a thing he thinks NSBM bands are and how much influence they have on the scene as a whole, but maybe this is something that should be discussed. He brought them up in his black metal review, I think, if you're interested. But the video we discuss right here is not about that. Oh no. What Finn realized due to his channel growth and I guess the exposure that came with it is that racism is a bigger issue than he initially thought. Okay, already hard to relate here, because most people are never going to be in his situation. But maybe his unique perspective revealed something that can inform our view on the problem. He points out that as a old white guy, he did not experience this himself. Obviously. Right. I think he wants to suggest that since he's part of the majority inside the scene, he would not have had any encounters with racism used against him. This, of course, would not have shielded him from having witnessed this behavior being displayed toward others. Furthermore, as he later points out, his family is partly Asian and black, and I would hazard a guess that he got to know his fair share of people from many racial backgrounds. Case in point, Mike Seatown, his good friend, who he met in 96 or 97. And due to his passionate involvement in the scene, would Finn not have engaged on a personal enough level with others to have heard more anecdotes like the later presented ones way earlier than now? But onto the issue raised by him. It's not real world behavior of metal fans. Nope. It's not about presenting some of those incidents at venues with real life people. Not that I'm a fan of anecdotal evidence in the first place, or digging into interviews by bands or lyrics to popular songs. Instead, he chooses to draw attention to his YouTube comment section, a lawless place where many trolls make their first step toward the world, which by now should be common knowledge. Let's, however, not dismiss all of these comment posters as trolls, but agree that an unknown amount of them really are that overtly racist. Should one therefore assume that they are an influential part of the scene? And that if they express something like those comments to another random person at a venue, these people addressed would be dispassionate or even in agreement with the clearly far out crazy malarkey that was posted? Now skip to after Mike Seatown. Finn explains that his motivation to make this video is not to show off his wokeness, but because it affects his viewers, friends, and family.
Why am I making this video? Am I just an SJW, like virtue signaling to show everyone how woke I am? It's true that this does not affect me personally, but it does affect my viewers, it affects my friends, it affects my family. My cousin is black, his wife is Filipina and Mexican. My wife and her family are Vietnamese, because even though it doesn't affect me, it does affect my family and my future kids.
So, what or where is this big threat of racism in metal, you might ask yourself? Ah, don't tell me. He equates trash that people have posted in the comments with real world interactions between metal fans.
Secondly, and obviously far less importantly, because we're just talking about music here, but if you're one of the people that cares about the future of rock and metal, then you need to care about this. Because this shit just will not fly. This will kill the genre. The future of global culture is not white. Anybody who's potentially interested in rock and shows up and sees people like this, like talking about Jews inspiring to eliminate white culture, if I was one of those kids, I'd be like, all right, I can see that I'm not wanted here. I'm just gonna see myself out. Trust me, if this continues to be a part of rock and metal, it will kill the genre.
Okay, moving on.
But to me, the answer to this is in coming together rather than calling each other out and making things even more divided than they are. I think the answer is in getting to know each other, in being genuinely interested in learning about other kinds of people. And then hopefully this kind of shit will just die on the vine.
Now, what Finn says here is very sweet, and I agree with the notion that prejudice is best fought by getting to know people and also reflecting on the held prejudice and unconscious biases. In fact, he himself did great videos about this with some bands and subgenres.
Also, ask yourself if you may have some unconscious bias, because I think a lot of us do. It's an uncomfortable question to ask, but I think that's the really important one. I think the vast majority of people in rock and metal are not explicitly racist. Like, I don't think there's people sitting in front of their computer like writing hateful essays full of slurs, but I do think there's a lot of people that have an unconscious bias that manifests itself in the way they react to certain things.
Most prejudices just don't hold up to scrutiny, or at least not as well as the straight white male does. And then he loses the plot again by putting people who don't like Cardi B into the category of subconsciously racist against strong, outspoken women of color. These mind reading powers, just amazing. Or maybe he's just projecting something onto others to reaffirm his views. Now, can it get any more painful for his closing thoughts? Well, yes.
But again, that's just my opinion. One thing I absolutely hate is white people white-splaining racism, so I really don't want to be that person.
Would you say this is how one invites an open and productive discussion for everyone to engage in? Let's have that discussion, people. But please, if you are white, don't talk about discrimination or racism, because you know, the white experience and all that. In conclusion, the singular point Finn McKenty brought up was not about the music of metal, not the bands, not the merch, or the venues. He was talking about the comments under his videos and how this potentially scares away the next generation because the future is not white people. Poor guy, really. I hope he can get over the problematic of his skin color and maybe one day might enjoy the scene that gave us all a home again, as much as I thought he already did, without hearing all of our inner racist thoughts. For your convenience, I cut my rambling here and make a second part about Mike Seatown. And oh boy, let me tell you, that's where my blood really gets to boiling. So until next time, have a good one.